up everyone? Today I just want to do a super casual video, something fun, something chill. You can just sit back and relax, maybe learn a thing or two. Today we're making my What's in My Camera Bag 2021 video. Now if you're into photo video, there's a good chance you've heard the phrase, camera gear doesn't matter. And in my opinion, that's 98% false. Like if that was the case, we would just shoot everything on our phones. But I do get where the statement comes from. Like kind of my take on it is gear does matter, but you should never let gear stop you from making something. More often than not, the story, the idea, the actual substance of the video, what you're telling, is way more important than what you shoot it on. But gear does play a role. Straight up, I get excited over gear. I think it's fun. And when I find something that makes my videos look better or makes something I do easier, like that's something I get excited about. Anyways, why I personally think these types of videos are fun is in about 15 minutes, I'm going to show you all the stuff I use, the stuff I carry in my camera bag, and maybe, just maybe you'll learn a thing or two, or you'll find a piece of gear that's really going to appeal to you and make your job easier. Now, don't feel pressured in any way to go out and buy some of this stuff if you don't need it, but everything I do showcase is going to be linked in the description down below. And without further ado, here's what I'm carrying in my camera bag in 2021. Okay, so right off the bat, this is the actual bag. This is the USA Gear DSLR camera bag. Now, I don't want to say a whole lot on this bag. I've had it for about 2.5 years. It's nothing fancy, but it does everything I need it to. It can store a tripod on the side. It can store up to a 15.6-inch laptop on the back. We've got a big pouch on the top, which can just hold a bunch of different things, miscellaneous items. And then on the bottom, we've got dedicated pouches for lenses, camera bodies. Got a little side pouch, we've got a little front pouch. It's got a decent amount of padding, not a ton. It's a little bit lighter. You can tell it's a little bit on the cheaper side, but I've had it for almost 3 years and it's still working fine. If you've got a budget under $100, I definitely recommend this for a camera bag, but personally when it eventually wears out, I'm gonna go with something a little bit higher end, but at the moment it's still holding my gear just fine. I'm not about to drop $200 on some fancy bag. Now, on top of the bag, which is normally how I store this if I'm not using it, I just hit myself in the face. But up top, I've got the GorillaPod 3K. And to be totally honest, I've got mixed feelings about this thing. Like on paper, it's the vlogging do-it-all beast. In reality, it sort of is. Like this thing is really versatile. You can set it up anywhere. The ball head is awesome. It goes completely on the side. Super quick to adjust. It locks in. I trust it holding an expensive camera. But these legs and joints, they wear out decently quick. Like when you first get one of these, you're gonna love it. But within a few months, it already starts getting weaker. Things start wearing out. I've actually had this for like 2 years and I'm still using it, but I kind of just extend the legs all the way and lay it completely flat because I don't really trust it to support a full frame camera. If you've got a DSLR or mirrorless and you're thinking you're gonna wrap this around trees or poles, think again. I would not trust an expensive camera doing that, but for just vlogging, you know, taking your time to set it up, it's okay. Now, on the side of the bag, I've got this Ranger's 56-inch travel tripod. I like this thing. I really like this thing. For around 70 bucks, it's super light, compact, quick to set up. The ball head's super quick. It holds its positions well. We've got 2 levels. You can turn it sideways to get that Instagram content. And one of my favorite parts is these legs use the flip locks. Some tripods have twist locks. I'd personally never buy a tripod with twist locks. The flip ones are just so quick, so snappy, they hold really well. Heck, it's even got a hook on the bottom so you can hang your bag or something else to give the tripod a little extra stability. For general use, I just leave the included ball head on, but if I'm doing studio B-roll, I can just slap on a pan tilt head and get super smooth video shots. For under $100, it's a good buy. One of the only downsides is the legs got a little bent. Again, I've had this for also around 2.5 years, so I'm probably going to replace it soon. And also, it's only 56 inches tall, so it's actually a little on the short side. If your budget's under $100, I would not hesitate to recommend it, But personally, as I've kind of progressed in the past 2.5 years, I'm probably going to buy something more expensive if this completely wears out. Okay, and the camera I'm shooting on for 2021 is the EOS R. Now this is actually the 80D, only because I'm filming on my EOS R right now. Now this is my main camera for photo video. It's a little bit of a controversial one. Now it doesn't have the best low light, doesn't have the best dynamic range, not the highest resolution, and you're not even getting the best image for this price range. No fluff. If you've got around $2,000 to spend on a camera and you're looking for the best image quality, just go buy a Blackmagic 6K or something. Like 6K RAW for around $2,000. It's tough to beat. But me being the rebellious YouTuber I am, I don't really care about image quality, and I say this carefully, but it's not the most important thing to me. Like honestly, I'm at the point where I just want my gear to stay the hell out of my way so I can focus on creativity and execution. And the Canon EOS R is just, it's so good for just getting stuff done. Like this camera isn't great at anything, but it's good at pretty much everything. Like it's got the flip screen. I would not use a camera for YouTube that didn't have one. It's got pretty good low light. The autofocus is the best in the game. The C-Log has good dynamic range. It's not the best, but it's super easy to grade, super easy to get a good image out of. Upgrading to a full frame mirrorless was a little bit stressful this year, but so far no complaints with the EOS R. Okay, and my all-around go-to vlogging kind of shoot everything lens that's new to my kit this year is the 16-35 f4, which also might be a little controversial, right? A lot of people say get the f2.8, but this is the one I went with. Now, I got this one because the RF was just way too expensive, so it was kind of between the f2.8 and the f4. And again, kind of my motto right now is I just want stuff that's gonna work. I'm not exactly going after the highest technical specs. I just want something that's gonna work well and get me results that I'm personally happy with. One of the things I like about the f4 is one, it's cheaper than the f2.8, but also it has image stabilization. Now you might be thinking, hey, at 16-35 millimeters, you don't really need stabilization. And my rebuttal would be, hey, at 16-35 millimeters, f2.8 is still not gonna get you that shallow of a depth of field. I feel like that came off as a little bit snarky. I don't know, but for me it was like, okay, I can put up with a little bit less shallow depth of field, but I can never put up with shaky footage. Shaky footage to me is just bleh. So I went with the f4 version. I don't shoot in a ton of low light, and if there's a little bit of noise vlogging, I don't really care. I'm loving it so far. And I guess I also kind of went for this lens because if I do want low light and a shallow depth of field, I just slap on this, which is the Sigma 35mm f1.4, which destroys both the 16-35s. The depth of field on this lens is insane. It's a prime, so it's super sharp. Obviously, it's got great low light. And if you're curious, because a lot of people have asked, this is what I'm filming on right now. This is what I use to get that shallow depth of field, despite me only being like 2 feet from this backdrop. Honestly, I love the focal length. 24 can feel a little wide, 50 can feel a little tight. On a full frame camera, I love 35 millimeters. Okay, the next lens I carry doesn't really need an introduction. It's the nifty 50, the Canon EF 50mm f1.8. Pretty much everyone knows this lens, pretty much everyone's used this lens. It's just such a good bang for the buck. For a little over $100, you get 50mm, prime lens, f1.8 aperture. To be honest, I actually didn't love it on the Canon 80D because with that crop it was closer to 80mm, but I'm loving it on full frame. When I need just a little bit more range than I can get on my 35, I switch over to this guy. It's a little bit less sharp, not quite as shallow of a depth of field, but for the price, it's awesome. Okay, and the last lens I carry is actually a crop sensor lens, and it's the 55-250mm. Now what's kind of cool is with the EOS R, you can use crop sensor lenses. It essentially turns the camera into a crop sensor, cropping in on the sensor, but in a pinch, they get the job done. I honestly almost never use telephoto lenses anymore, which is why I'm just using this instead of investing in a full frame one, but it still works pretty well. I think just about a month ago, I was shooting a 10K fun run, and I slapped this on my EOS R, and got really good results. Like I was kind of surprised. Now, if you're shooting indoors or, the sun starts to go down, this thing needs a ton of light. It's at 5.6 when you're fully zoomed in. But on those rare occasions, I do want a telephoto lens. Right now I'm still using this guy. I'm kind of in that in-between stage of having just transitioned to full frame, but it's cool that I can still use this. Oh, and of course I've got to use the EF to RF adapter on my EOS R, because in 2021, apparently even our cameras need dongles. Okay, I'm gonna start picking up the pace here. For my intervalometer, this is the Neewer. You know that brand on Amazon that everyone has at least one product from? That's what this is. Now, this is super cheap. It doesn't even have an on-off switch. You just throw in AAA batteries. If you don't want any camera shake and you've got your camera on a tripod, you can plug this in so it doesn't shake when you press the camera. You can just use the remote. If I'm taking thumbnails, sometimes I'll plug it in right here, and then I'll just have my hand out of frame and I'll go. And it's just awesome for capturing time lapses. It's like 20 bucks. Useful tool, would recommend. Next, I've got just a tiny little cleaning kit, a blower, gets dust off the lens, this spray for cleaning glass, screens, stuff like that, and the lens pen. You can wipe down debris, get rid of smudges. If you don't have a cleaning kit, it's worth carrying. I've also got this SD card case. I think it's water resistant. I'm actually missing a few cards in here right now. Also, here's my variable ND filter. It's a 77mm KNF filter. Variable ND, so as you spin it, the darkness actually changes, which is super useful. I don't know if I'd actually recommend this. I think this one's around $30. It's pretty cheap. It works, but it has a bit of a nasty green tint. If you're strapped for cash, it's a good value, but I do end up adding some magenta to almost every clip I shoot with this. But it is an essential tool for getting shallow depth of field when shooting in super bright light, without cranking the shutter speed and getting just some weird motion blur. And then I've got one more Neewer product, which is just step-up rings, so I can take that 77mm filter and thread it onto any of my lenses. Okay, and then I'm carrying 6 LP6 batteries. Now, is that a lot? Yes, it's definitely a lot of batteries, and it might seem crazy, but I've actually gone through 4 before when I'm out backpacking on multiple day trips, I'm camping, or I just don't have a way to charge my batteries. So now I have 6. Also, pro tip, if you don't already do this, label all of your batteries in numerical order. So like 1, 2, 3, and then if you use them in that order, 1, 2, 3, you always know which batteries are charged and which ones aren't. So when 1 runs out, you go to 2. When 2 runs out, you go to 3. If you've got 3 in your camera, that means 4, 5, and 6 are fully charged. That way, when you have a bunch of batteries, you're not fumbling around, throwing them in, pulling them out. A little organization tip for you. And then I've got 2 of these GoPro batteries, which is self-explanatory because I've got a GoPro Hero 7 Black. Now, a lot of people have asked me, Josh, why'd you buy this? You're not really an action sports guy, which is for the most part true. And honestly, the low light on this thing, terrible. The image quality, subpar, but it's good enough. Why I love GoPros is if there's a shot I want, I can get it. This could be me just walking around the store and I don't want to lug a giant camera. I could be swimming underwater, snowboarding, skateboarding, hiking, filming first person to get like behind the scenes. The GoPro is great because you can just mount it anywhere and really get any shot you want, even if it's not the highest quality. It kind of just goes back to the fact that I'm not necessarily after the highest technical production quality. I just want to make things. I just want to, if I have a creative idea, I want to do it. The GoPro helps me do that. Also, I do want to add, the GoPro is built like a tank. I have abused mine, and there's almost no marks on it. For audio, I pretty much exclusively use the Rode VideoMicro. If you want a studio mic, you want a vlogging mic, and your budget's around $60, just buy this. Don't even look at the Rode VideoMic Go. Maybe consider the Pro if you've got a higher budget. But for 60 bucks, it's just so solid, you can't go wrong with it. I also carry an Aputure M9, which is actually what I'm using to light my backdrop right now. Now, this is a neat little light. I actually use it all the time. It's definitely not a key light. It's not even a do everything light. It's pretty expensive at $45, but why I like it is it pretty much takes any shot you want to get, and you can take the lighting from like a 7 to like an 8.5. Like, it just makes every shot look a little bit better if you can think of a way to use it. It's got these little gels, so you slap them on. The front is magnetized, so now you've got kind of a blue colder light. Take it off, we're at a white light, or we can slap this on and we've got a warm light. It actually gets really bright too. It's pretty cool. If you like lights, useful to have. And that's pretty much everything. There's 2 small pouches left. This side pouch, I just keep a clear trash bag in. If it ever starts raining when I'm shooting, I can put this over my camera and definitely protect it from light rain. Always useful to keep on you. And then in this top pouch, I just carry all the little things. Micro USB cable, USB-C cable, set of Allen keys because some things take Allen keys. This little gear tie thing if I ever need to wrap some cables or attach something to a tripod. Hand warmers, and maybe I should carry more, but I've got 2 AA batteries. You know, sometimes recorders or things run out. I've made many trips to the store on set. AA batteries are nice to have. And then in this very front pouch, I carry 2 things. 1 extra GoPro mounting screw because, you know, I just don't want to be without one of those. And I carry 1 extra SD card. Now, if you aren't doing this, go on Amazon right now. Run over to Walmart, Best Buy, your local camera store. Go buy an SD card, stick it in your bag, and forget about it. It's not if, but when. One day, you're gonna leave your SD card in your computer, or it's gonna run out of space because you forgot to format it, but it's got other stuff on there you need. Keeping an extra card in your bag at all times, it's gonna save you one day. Trust me on that, it will. And then this isn't even my camera bag, but I also always just carry a Leatherman pocket knife. Most of the time, I just end up using the flathead. But this is a tool I actually use a ton. You know, if you need a screwdriver, a knife, scissors, you know, whatever crazy things you're doing on set. You guys know I do some weird things to make videos. Super, super helpful. And that's it. That's all the stuff I would carry in my camera bag going into 2021. Now I say the stuff I would carry because this is like the max load. If I know I'm not gonna need some of this stuff, I'm not gonna bring it, right? If I'm shooting portraits, I don't bring the telephoto and the wide angle, but you get the idea. Like if I was going on a shoot and I knew I needed a bunch of gear and, you know, this is what I would carry on my back. This is what I would load up to get all the shots I wanted. If I needed wide, telephoto, 6 batteries, right? This is what I would carry. And to end this video, I just want to say thank you all so much. The support lately has been completely overwhelming. I've got so many creative, fun projects that I want to make this year, and some of them are gonna take a while. Like there might be weeks where I don't get an upload, but you guys have been loving the stuff I've been making recently, so I'm gonna really try and do some more stuff like that this coming year. As always, thanks so much for watching. Thanks so much for spending some time hanging out with me, and have fun, stay creative, and I'll see you all in the next one.